Hello, you wonderful person. It's Jacquie here. How are you? I want to teach you how to do a brain balancing technique, focusing on this brain in particular, because you have three brains: head brain, heart brain, gut brain. But I want to focus on teaching you how to balance your head brain. And this is a technique that once you know it off by heart, and it's very easy to learn, you hopefully will be able to teach it to other people as well, because it is a smashingly great technique that has wonderful flow-on effects throughout the rest of the body-mind complex that you're going to love, family's going to love. It's a win-win. Okay. The focus is very, very simple. We are focusing on the head brain. We're focusing on all regions of the brain. We're focusing on the fact that there are two hemispheres to the brain, left and right hemispheres. And what we know is that this brain is responsible mostly for running this entire body-mind complex. So when we do this technique, what we know is that it causes the brain, as we do nice big deep breaths in and out, it causes the brain to use the breath cycle that you're going to be doing exaggerated breathing with throughout the technique itself. It uses the brain to use the breath cycle to scan the frequencies of your body so that it can determine the priorities for healing. Now, if you come and do an access class with me, a BodyTalk Access class for me, and I teach all different techniques that relate to people and some that relate to animals, and a lot of cool stuff in and around that, especially psychology around animals and how it relates to consciousness-based healthcare. You'll learn more in depth about the breathing cycle and how the brain uses the breath to scan the frequencies of the body. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. What you need to know today for the Cortices technique is this is what's happening. So as you do the Cortices balancing, the brain is going to be using that breath cycle to scan the body, and it will be looking for things that it can improve on and correct, especially imbalances anywhere throughout the body, miscommunications anywhere throughout the body. It'll be looking to correct those, okay? What we also know is that on the outer cortex layer of the brain, very often in MRI imaging, they can see cold spots on the cortex layer in the brain. These cold spots are like mirrors. They're mirrors to imbalances and disease processes that are going on inside the body. What we do know is that when you tap out your cortices on a regular basis, is that it diminishes those cold spots. It brings a lot of attention, not just from the brain, but attention from the rest of your body-mind complex, from your innate wisdom. It brings attention to those cold spots and gets the attention on them, looking at them, saying, what are these cold spots? What are they relating to? What needs to be repaired around them? And a lot of really wonderful healing can go on between the brain and the body. It also improves the circulation through those areas of cold spots. So it's been known that cold spots have completely disappeared, which means that there's not just healing happening in the brain, but it's happening in the body as well. One of the things that a lot of people notice when they start doing the Cortices technique is that they yawn a lot. And that's a really common thing. And it's also a great thing. Yawning is one of the body's ways at helping you to release, to digest the information that the body's moving through. And there's a lot of information happening inside you, even though you're not consciously aware of it for most of the time. But it also is a great way to actually help the body relax and decompress, especially the nervous system. So if you find that you're yawning quite a lot, or perhaps you're doing it for one of the kids and they're yawning a lot, encourage that, allow that. That's okay. And it doesn't it's not indicative of pointing a finger to something and saying you're yawning a lot, there's something bad going on, or you didn't yawn at all when we did the Cortices technique this time. That doesn't mean we're doing it right. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that in this particular moment, the act of yawning is actually helping the entire body-mind complex shift and release something. So if you yawn, great. If you don't, great. But don't stifle the yawn. And I do see a lot of people try to do that because maybe they're bored. I've been brought up to believe that yawning is impolite or something like that, okay? When a yawn comes up, just let it rip. That would be my suggestion. My other thing that I want to take you through is we're going to have to do a tapping process where we tap very gently over the 3 brains. So it'll be the head brain, the heart brain, the gut brain. It's very gentle tapping. When you're tapping over the head brain, it's with a nice wide open hand. It's with both, so you're connecting with both left and right hemispheres of the brain at the same time. When you're tapping on the heart brain, it's just to the left of the sternum. Okay. And when you're tapping over the gut brain, it's about 1 inch above the belly button. Each one of the 3 brains does something very, very unique to their role and function. And I will put in a link to either a blog or a video that I've done that really takes you into a bit more detail about what the 3 brains are and what they do. So the whole focus is around improving communication between not just the hemispheres of the brain, but all regions of the brain. And by improving communication inside this brain, you're automatically going to see improved communication and connections between the head brain and the rest of your body, which means you're then going to have improved function, improved harmony in organs, in endocrine glands, in systems. So it is a phenomenal technique to do, just as a normal, everyday maintenance thing that you would do for yourself for your overall health. However, if you or someone that you know is really sick and not well, do this technique more. If somebody has a headache, if they've had a reaction to something, if they're depressed, if there's some kind of massive stressor going on, do it more. You cannot hurt yourself with this technique. You cannot cause any damage, okay? So you can, if you're able to, if the person is injured or if they've had an accident, don't move their head. Don't try to manipulate them in any way. You can actually do it on yourself. Use yourself as a surrogate, focusing on the person if that's the case, and just tap out the Cortices technique on yourself for the person. Now, again, if you do the BodyTalk Access class with me, I'm going to go into a whole lot of detail about what's actually going on when you do that, how you can do all the techniques via distance, what that would look like, how it's done, so on and so forth. But I just want to open up the door at least and let you know that if you have somebody that maybe has some sensitivities and space issues and they don't like being touched, but you can see that this Cortices technique would be really good for them, don't try to impose it on them in any way. Just let them move around, let them be, especially if they're in an accident situation. We want to preserve the integrity of the brain and the spine complex, especially use yourself as a surrogate. If you are in a situation where you can do the technique on them, it's exactly the same for how you would do it on yourself, okay? You just do all the hand placements and hand techniques on them, encouraging them to deep breathe. But I want to show you how you do it on you because you're the one that you're going to be doing it on the most. If in doubt, if you see somebody distressed, unwell yourself, and you think, I wonder if the Cortices technique would be good for this, just try it. I've actually never come across a situation where Cortices has not been of some help in some way, shape, or form. Never. in all my time, okay? The innate wisdom just grabs what it can out of that technique in the moment and absolutely runs with it. And sometimes it'll be little changes that happen in the body. Sometimes those changes will be gastronomical and you'll be like, wow, look what just happened. You cannot hurt yourself with this technique. You can't cause any issues, as I said. So let's jump into the way that you would do this. One hand is going to be your tapping hand. The other hand is going to be the hand that you place on your head. You start at the base of the brain, on the skull, not on the neck. So one hand placement at the base of the skull with nice big deep breaths in and out. You're going to use your other hand to tap over all three brains. And you want to do it like at least 2 nice big deep breaths in and out for each hand position. Now let's move our hand up 1 hand width, and we're going to go all the way around from the back to the front. And let's go ahead and tap this in. Move your hand up 1 more hand position. Tapping it in. Go up 1 more hand position. One more hand position. We want to come all the way around to the front because this is where the brain comes around at the front here, all the way around to the front of the eyebrows. Now we've got to finish off with the side of the brain, the temporal lobes. So your hands run from front to back like this, fingers closed together. Another nice big deep breath. And you can take one of your hands away and tap over your 3 brains. And that's the Cortices technique. Now, my rule of thumb is trust your instincts, okay? If you get to a hand position and you've done 2 full nice big deep breaths and you just feel like for whatever reason that you need to hold that position and keep tapping, or you need to tap longer over one of the brains as opposed to one of the other brains, just do that. We don't have to know in detail why that's coming up as a nudge for you to do that. My rule of thumb is trust your intuition. If you need to tap longer, do that. If you need to keep breathing longer and hold that position at that spot, do that before you move on to the next spot. Remember, you can't do any harm, but you will have phenomenal changes that happen within the body every single time you do that. It really helps reset the amygdala inside the brain, which is the part of the brain that gets often really triggered by stress responses and puts the nervous system into some state of fight or flight. And a lot of people are in that state all the time and they don't even realize it. So every time you do the Cortices technique, you're helping to reset the amygdala and really bring the nervous system back into that parasympathetic state where you're far more calm, relaxed, chilled, and healing processes can naturally happen in the body. All right. Good luck with it. Have fun. Do it every day as much as you possibly can. And if you've got any questions, pop it down into the comments. I'll see you later. Bye for now.